Hi, my name is Richard Laidler and I'm an executive consultant with Ambit Energy. Each week I host a team call with the purpose of bringing the best information possible to help our listeners learn the simple things we need to do to have a successful Ambit business and, more importantly, how to implement them. Well, this week we had a little bit of a different format. 3 of our team had recently attended the Eric Worre GoPro event. Eric Worre is a self-made millionaire as a result of network marketing and is recognized as one of the foremost trainers and speakers in our industry. Anyway, I asked all 3 of our team members to come onto our call and share the highlights of what they learned at the event. The call ended up being so good, I wanted to post it for all Ambit consultants to hear what they had to say. So sit back, open your coachable ears, and enjoy listening to EC John West and RC's Javier Heredia and Sarah Rue.
We have 3 people who went to the Eric Worre GoPro event that was happening this last weekend. For those of you who don't know who Eric Worre is, he is a multi-millionaire network marketer. He's not an Ambit guy. He used to have a network marketing business. He no longer does. He now is a guru who offers advice and help to all of those who are looking to build their business. So Eric Worre, very, very highly recognized, very extremely good, very entertaining, and full of brand new ideas. He's very interested in elevating the industry. You know, network marketing over the years has been recognized as some of it being a little bit of a dirty industry or whatever. We've certainly had some iffy companies in the industry, as every industry has. I mean, iffy attorneys, iffy accountants. Every industry has them. But Eric is very passionate about elevating the whole industry. We have some fantastic companies in the industry. Ambit is one of them, very proud to say. There are other ones. There are other fantastic companies out there that represent the industry very well. And Eric represents everybody as far as that's concerned. And he has these events. And he had one this last weekend. So without further ado, I'm going to get off the call. I'm actually going to be on listening in. But what I wanted to do was hand the call over to executive consultant John West, regional consultant Javier Heredia, and Sarah Rue. And the 3 of them were all at the event. I'm not sure if you're all together. But I've heard from John, I've heard from Javier, and I've heard different things from both of you. And I want this to be kind of a conversational thing that we're just kind of like voyeuristically listening in to you. If you could pick on a few points about, first of all, a feeling about the whole event, and maybe a feeling about how you feel about network marketing as an industry after that event, but also any particular points that stood out for you, and also things that stood out for you that you think would be very relevant for all the people on this call. So John, Javier, and Sarah, thank you so much for getting on the call. I'm going to step back. John, if you could pick up the call to begin with and then field between the 3 of you, that would be fantastic. I'm going to step back. John, I'm going to hand over to you. Welcome to the call.
Hey, thanks, Richard. And thanks for your help, Javier and Sarah. There were a number of Ambit consultants there on Saturday. I think, Javier, the final count was about 1,200, right?
Yeah, it was about that, correct.
Yeah, at the Hyatt Regency in Dallas. And the reason I knew about Eric Worre, I've heard other consultants recommend him, like other trainers such as John Maxwell or Jim Rohn in the past and other greats, Tony Robbins, to name a few. But the thing that surprised me, I didn't know he was coming to town until about a week ago. I knew a number of consultants had told me they were flying to Las Vegas to hear him in person for a conference like this last fall. And I didn't know about that in time. And as you know, I've got an autistic son, so I couldn't take the time off. But then I found out he's going to be in Dallas. It was $99 to go hear this guy. And I'm so glad that I went. I'm so glad. Just because I learned a couple of zingers. And what I asked Richard to do, and he was kind enough to let us share with Javier and Sarah, are some of the points, the takeaways from it. So, guys, can I take the liberty? Let me do this. He started out with first talking about the challenges of the industry and his own personal story, and then through this, he came up with a plan that he calls Go Pro, Go Professional, and in it, he enumerates 7 skills you must master to be successful. So I thought maybe we could go over these 7 very quickly. Briefly, they're contained in a book and also a dual DVD set that is also available online, or you could borrow or use mine too, because I got a bunch of copies of it. And then Javier and Sarah, with your permission, I think we should explain different parts of the 7 steps, and then focus particularly on what he calls your story, and why the way he does it is a little different from the Ambit why, but I think it's incredibly effective, and then something for accountability. So what do you guys think? Sarah, you there?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, does that sound good?
Yeah, hi, John.
All right, well, you guys want to take, we have 7 steps. We can, let me do the intro, because he talks about the challenges of network marketing, and a lot of what he shared just resonated with my heart, and this ties into why the way he does the story is so powerful. He talks about being real with people and sharing your pain. And so when Eric Worre first looked at network marketing, he had to rebuild his organization because of different circumstances. What do you say, guys? Like 13 times? And I think that was it.
Yeah, from what I remember, I think he said at least 7. So that's 7 too many, but it goes to show that nobody's perfect, and you kind of fail your way to success, and you learn from doing. Nobody ever fails; you just learn. So he was great at it.
Yep, and he's very, very successful at it, as you know. But the thing that I remember he talked about, it was like at a circus when a juggler is juggling plates on a stick, and you're spinning the plate, and your marketing consultants are like the plate spinning on a stick, and you got to keep one going and then keep the other going and keep another one going, and then you turn away for just a second, and you hear crash, 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 and you got to come back and start all over again because of the broken pieces. Sometimes it feels like that. I'm always impressed with the people that come into my organization and they take the initiative and they treat it like their business. And one of the first things I wanted to share was he talked about it may be a mistake to tell people with you and me working together and me doing most of the work at the beginning, are you ready to get started? A better way to think of this is this is your business, I'm here to help. That was an important distinction. This is your business. We need to help a new consultant understand that this is their business, and we are here to help, but they need to take responsibility for their business. So, what do you guys think?
100% agree. And to piggyback off what you said with his 7 steps he was talking about, one thing that I really noticed that resonated with me and what I've even approached Richard about is 3x4 mentorship program that we have, the importance of accountability. I don't know if you remember, but I wrote down in my notes the importance of reaching the foundation rank, which in Ambit is also obviously achieving 526, right? Getting to regional consultant, and the importance of accountability. In the notes that I took, you talk about people doing online class, like the Phoenix Online or any online university, that 90% of people, when they're on their own, they end up dropping off. And same goes with network marketing. But if you have that accountability program of keeping people engaged, keeping people accountable, and helping them get their customers, help get consultants and keep them accountable, it's the success rate goes through the roof. And you're able to reduce that 98% by a significant amount. That really stuck with me because that's exactly what we do here at with the EC Writers.
That's exactly right. Sarah, do you want to add to that?
Well, I was just going to say, even piggybacking off of what Javi's saying, that shows the value of doing like these calls weekly, or even having the dinners on the first Wednesday of the month, and not just having the same people show up, but lifting up those other leaders on the team and showing them that community and that culture. He also focused on getting people to events and promoting events. Same, right? Events can be a phone call every week on Wednesdays. An event can be going to the once a month dinner. An event can be the training like this weekend.
Yeah, the power trip training. Yeah.
Like always going to events and the importance of that. That really struck a chord with me.
Yep, all good stuff. And in his book, he goes even into more detail where he talks about how network marketing is just better. It's a better way to make money than traditional business. And I encourage you guys to get a copy of GoPro, because he spends a lot of time showing the challenges of just earning money the traditional way in corporate America. In great detail, he talks about outsourcing and the changing economy and, answering to a boss and all of that. Too many people, the reason that's important is because too many people, they look at network marketing as just more work. And they're so busy they don't have time for more work. But they don't understand that we have a better way with the flexible schedule and also the ability to make unlimited income and passive residual income, leveraged passive residual income. This wasn't covered as much in the conference as it is in his book. That really impressed me. That's why I like to put a copy of this book into a lot of people's hands. If you lead with an entrepreneurial opportunity, don't lead with deregulation. I lead with, are you open to make money? Are you looking for ways to get ahead, and are you tired of your circumstance? That's a great lead-in to the Ambit system.
Yeah, he talked about, I remember he said, if you have an entrepreneurial bone in your body, you need to look at network marketing. And that was one of the first notes that I took. I said, talk about entrepreneurship. Don't talk about Ambit because you have a solution. Because right now to start a small business, a franchise, is over $65,000. And Richard is very well aware of that. Starting at Dickey's Barbecue is $300,000. Who has that kind of money nowadays? You have to mortgage your house 6 times to get that. But it's so much more risk is involved, and he talked about the importance of, 50 years ago, a franchise was seen as taboo, not legal, and then the International Franchise Association was created, just much like the Direct Selling Association, to protect and preserve the integrity of the business. And I'm sure Richard knows the thickness of the document that he had to sign when he opened up his first Dickey's Barbecue. I agree, I know, I understand that I can lose everything, that I have to be, I hold myself accountable, I agree. And it's so easy to get into network marketing that it's also so easy to give up and get out. So I emphasize that accountability portion of it, of treat it like a traditional real business. I mean, it is a real business, but treat it as such. And hold yourself accountable. Do the things that need to be done. Get yourself trained. So it's such a big difference than a traditional business, that brick and mortar and employees and a bunch of headaches.
Well, also he was talking a lot about how most people in the States especially are very open to being an entrepreneur now, and they don't know what that looks like, but the economy is evolving so much that, they look at their car and they're like, ooh, Uber, I can be my own boss, or ooh, Airbnb, I can rent out my own property, something I already have. So the conversations are already out there, and that's why when you talk to them about entrepreneurship, it's just getting them to see it in a simplistic form, that it's something that they're already open to doing. The economy's already evolved and it's already doing its job. We just have to open it up and talk to them about that. One of the things you said was, talk about entrepreneurship. Most think about it, but they don't know how to do it. So it's well, why not? It's a fraction of the cost. You just have to bring your cash in, right?
Yep, sounds good. Do you guys remember, I don't know if I could state the 7 steps briefly. I really wanted to comment on 2 or 3 of them that, were just worth the whole cost of the conference to me. Do you guys want to state them? What are the 7 steps?
Yeah, the first one that I wrote down was finding prospects, finding people to talk to. That was the first skill that you have to work and work on. And then the next one was
tip or idea? How can you find prospects?
Yeah, so people you meet, right? Learning to connect with others, emptying your mind on a piece of paper, joining networking groups, joining. We have a great tool now, meetup.com. There's groups for everything. Underwater basket weaving to, rocket scientists, whatever you want. Join a group, whatever you're interested in. Just meet people. Say hello. Walk up to somebody and be like, hi, hello, my name is Javier. And just learn to meet people. Get out of that comfort zone. That's one fantastic way of meeting new people that's not your immediate friends or family.
Yeah. Sarah, you want to do number 2? Skill number 2?
That one's actually one of my personal favorites, Invite. And he really did a lot of emphasis on texting. And so, the big thing, he actually issued a challenge. So if you're on the call, this is a challenge you guys can take. He gave us 3 days to send out 50 texts. And the numbers that he broke down were basically like, so say out of 50 texts in the next 3 days, you get 10 presentations set up. And out of those 10 presentations, at least 1 or 2 are going to get started. But it's really as simple as just sending a message. And a lot of times people can get hung up on like wanting to pick up the phone and call or get face-to-face. But, nowadays most people are busy. And I like the way that Eric Worre talked about how we've been retrained to do everything via text or Facebook message. And he said even his daughter has retrained him. So he'll call her, she won't answer, and she'll text back immediately and say, what did you need? And he'll try to call again, and she won't answer and respond via text. So he's now, because he was joking, he's in love with the little emojis and all that cool stuff that goes along with it. He now finds himself texting back and then being annoyed when people try to call him. And so our economy's evolved into that as well. And so it's just a simple way to get people engaged in the conversation so that you can schedule a time to share the presentation. Makes things quicker.
Yep, and also he pointed out that it's easier to get a hold of someone via text. They're far more likely to respond compared to other ways. Obviously, face-to-face is best, but when you make your initial contact, it's not always possible to be face-to-face. So a lot of folks call and they play the telephone tag game back and forth. Mm-hmm. But if you get a text, the advantage is they're going to read it. They have to read it to know what it is. And then, two, if it's an iPhone or I don't know if Droid does this as well, but you can tell if they read it or not because the color changes.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So
and the thing is, you're just inviting them. Like, it doesn't have to be a paragraph. It's a simple sentence. Hey, do you have a quick sec? I'd love to chat and have a quick question for you. When do you have 5 minutes? And then you set up the appointment, right?
Yeah, that's it. Okay, number 3 I'd like to just mention and then come back to, but number 3 is the presentation, where you do your thing, as he calls it. You present whatever it is you're doing. And but as part of that, we call this, now this is where it's a little bit different approach than what I've heard through the Ambit system. With Ambit, we talk about your why, a why that makes you cry. In the Eric Worre system, there's 4 parts to telling your story, and part 1 is your background. Part 2 is what you didn't like about your circumstance at the time. Part 3 is the solution that creates a better life, which in our case is Ambit Energy. And then number 4 is how you feel about the future. And we talked in some detail as a group about which part of that 4-part presentation is the most important. They're all important, but if you have to emphasize one, it's actually number 2, your pain, what you didn't like about it. And we spent a lot of time talking about practice telling your story because when you share your pain, it not only feels good to share your pain, but passion just pours out. There's a quicker connection. People are more likely to listen to what you have to say when they find out what was happening and they can relate to what you're saying. So one of the things I'd like to do, if it's okay with you and Javier and Sarah, is before we're done, we have to limit our story to 2 minutes and just model what that looks like. Because I've changed my story, the way I tell my Ambit story, and moving forward in the presentations, I'm going to put more emphasis on what I didn't like about it. And actually, when I was typing this, I'm thinking a lot about Tien Bui. And the reason, why is his story so passionate, is because of when he was signing up for that second job at 7-Eleven. And he felt like such a failure, and it's just why I went to college, and his life flashed before his eyes. It's like, yeah, I can relate to that. Or Javier, your story. It's the pain in your story that makes it so compelling and so attractive to people, why they make it interesting.
Right.
Right?
That exercise that we did of telling our story 1 through 4, right, on the steps. Mm-hmm. And then the last exercise that we did, it just said, okay, just tell your story on the last 2 steps, which we'll kind of go over. The difference of that, we all felt annoyed and sales pitchy, and it was just really interesting and cool to be live and have this guru, Eric Worre, kind of coach you doing things. And it felt weird and awkward, but you have to do what you got to do if you really want to grow. Step outside your comfort zone. And it was cool when we did that exercise.
Let's do this, guys, in the interest of time, because we're at 26 minutes after. Let's review quickly steps, skill 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then we'll come back and just model what it means to tell your story with your pain. So, Sarah, Javi, I guess you're next. What's number 4?
4 is follow-up. The importance of following up, and you did say that it takes between, on average, 4 to 6 exposures for somebody to make more, either make an informed decision to join. So the importance of just following up with people and scheduling the follow-ups. Your goal is to set an appointment for another exposure, and it takes on average 4 to 6. So just because they said no once or they only took a look at it once doesn't mean no. It just means they need to have more exposures and have their questions answered.
You got it. Sarah, you want to cover 5?
Yeah, number 5 was closing. And so he gave the example of, what do you like best, or on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your interest level, how much time, and then once they say yes, how much time can you commit? So, in Ambit language, it would be like, what did you like best about the video, right? And then walking them through there and getting them started.
Awesome. Okay, and then how about, when you guys want to do 6? Javi, you want to do 6?
Sure. 6 is getting people started. And it's one of those, like you said, like Sarah said, asking them from scale of 0 to 10, where do you see yourself, and having a system set up like we do to get people started. So the goal is to get people over the line, where the line is the difference between easier to quit or it's harder to quit, and getting them over the line on teaching them to get their 4 customers, right? We sit down, do the little training to get 10 bills. Once we get people started, and the importance of getting them paid. That first check is so important to get them over the line when we get it started the right way.
Can I add something too? Because we had to translate what he was talking generically into the Ambit system, and he talked about how if you can get them to the first level, which for us is 526 RC. Remember how long would they in general stay in the business if they make it to RC? If that's all they do, and they never grow after that, how long will they stay in the business on average?
I think you said 90 days, right?
Yeah. It's not very long. If they make it to SC, do you remember that one?
9 months.
Yeah, a little further, and then if they make it even further, you'd think that just because someone gets to EC, they're going to go all the way, but it doesn't happen all the time. I mean, there is a point where people, if they don't see success or they stop working the business, they won't keep going. So it's like anything else in life. You got to keep going and keep producing, and that new growth not only helps people get started, but it builds longevity in your organization. So there's more we could say about that, but okay, skill 7. What's skill 7, guys? Remember? I'm sure you've already covered this. and why is that important? He said 2 or 3 zingers,
right? Like that's when you realize it's not just you and your team and your group, right? It becomes real. You look around and you see that actually this business is for everybody, literally. It's people that you quote unquote wouldn't expect because you prejudge them. It's all walks of life are in there, and that it shows the industry and the culture.
I love when he said, events are where leaders are born. Events are where leaders thrive. And a formula, you can mark this down, in general, you will earn approximately $1,000 per person per year for each person who comes to an event like Ambition or Simulcast. Think about that. You learn about $1,000 per person per year. That was pretty powerful, right? So how important is it to get people to Ambition and Simulcast?
Yeah, get your pin. I got my 3-pin going. At least you have 3 people going, and then those 3 get 3, and et cetera, et cetera. So the importance of those events we see, it's for real.
Awesome. There's a lot more we could say, but in the interest of time, let's jump to your stories, guys. And one of the things we had to learn to do is condense our story and practice your story to get it down to 2 minutes. And the point of this is, hey, can I tell you my story? And one of the second challenges, the first one was to send out 50 text messages within 2 days. And the next challenge was by the end of April to tell our story 100 times. It sounds like a lot, but it's just a 2-minute thing, and you tell people, hey, can I tell you my story? It's your story that makes your business passionate. It's your story that makes it real. So, okay, who wants to go first? Javier, you want to do it? So 4 parts of the story?
So the parts of the story are, number 1 is your background. The number 2 is what you didn't like about it or you don't like about it. Number 3 is the solution you found. And number 4, how do you feel about your future? So those are the 4 parts. Yeah. So my background is I'm an airline pilot. I've been an airline pilot for 16 years, and my dad was an airline pilot as well. But what I don't like about it, obviously, is that I'm gone a lot from home. I'm always on the road. I'm always fatigued. I'm always dealing with weather and passengers and things breaking, and I'm gone from my family. And my mom and my dad, I'm very close to them because a few years ago I had a really bad accident, and with this accident I stopped flying. That's my passion. That I stopped flying for a few years, and my mom and dad, sadly, they lost everything. They became destitute, and they declared bankruptcy, lost their house and their cars, and to see my parents suffer really hurt me. And luckily I was able to get back into flying, being a pilot, but I now know that my mom and dad don't have anything, and they rely on me 100%. So I've actually found a solution because part-time, while I'm flying and on my layovers, I'm able to work this business totally part-time and begin to build a residual income in the event that I physically can't fly anymore and I can't rely on the airline to help my mother and my father out to continue to live their life. So I'm excited about my future just because it's something that I can do completely part-time, and I have total control over it. So that's my story. It's awesome, and I'm excited every day that I wake up and I'm working my business, helping my mom and my dad out at the same time. The solution that I found helps other people as well.
Sounds good. Now that's a compelling story. Forgive me, I was distracted. My son is trying to beep in to say goodnight. And did you mention your accident? You mentioned your accident, right?
Yeah, I did, exactly, yep.
Yeah, that's just amazing, Javi. I think you're a walking miracle. You really are. You're a testament to the passion and miracle of life, frankly.
Thank you.
Sarah, you want to do yours?
Sure. So my background is I'm an emergency room nurse by trade, and about 4 years ago, I found myself in a position where I had 3 major back surgeries, was lugging around back pillows everywhere I went, and a handicap parking placard, and had also in the corporate world was an underpaid, underappreciated, overworked ER nurse. So I didn't like where I was at all, and I found network marketing as a solution to help cut my hours from 4 to 5 12-hour night shifts every week. And give me that freedom to really step into more flexibility in life and become the nurse that I want to be on this planet doing medical mission trips. So what I'm really excited about is helping other people see that same vision and have that little extra freedom and flexibility, whatever it means to them, and also going on more medical mission trips and being the nurse that I know I'm supposed to be on this planet.
See, that is cool. How could you not want to help someone like Sarah? I mean, gosh, I would follow you, absolutely. And if I couldn't do it, I would be your customer, absolutely. Who would not? That's awesome. So, okay, just in the interest of time, let me do mine, and we'll do some closing remarks and hand it back to Richard. Fair enough, guys?
Fair enough.
Okay, some of this is familiar, but some of this I've tweaked a little bit. So here's my story. Ambit is about second chances in life, real hope, and the ability to dream again. As a family man, I've always had to work really hard. And I was the only producer for a large family. I was already making a 6-figure income, living well, 5-bedroom house, 3-car garage. I was responsible for payments on 5 cars. We took nice trips. We ate out a lot. But all that came at a price. It took its toll on my heart, my relationships, and my life. I needed a better plan. But I was tired of the life I had led so far, and I decided to make a change. I thought, I can do better than this. I'm tired of being treated like a drone. I had an overbearing manager, and I know how to do things, and I don't need someone breathing down my throat all the time. And anyway, that really ticked me off, was the way I felt trapped, and I started to actually feel resentful and dreaded going to work, especially Monday mornings were very hard. And the thought of having to do this for years and years to pay down the debt for my grown kids made me feel trapped and depressed. So then there was this Ambit thing. I saw a picture of a cruise ship. I needed a vacation. I was asked to sit down with David Spina over coffee, and this time I said yes. It kind of made sense that so many numbers, that I respected David. He invited me to go to downtown Dallas. I met Jerry, and that blew me away. This thing was so much bigger than anything I'd ever seen. Here are multimillionaires telling me that they were here to help me be successful. Wow. That was a turning point, and that's when I decided I have to do this. So we worked it out, and Ambit is my escape plan from the corporate rat race. The residual income keeps growing and growing. I've had some challenges I didn't anticipate, and I discovered the power of passive residual income when we had big family emergencies and medical bills. But anyway, that passive income takes care of more and more of our living expenses. So it's not only building a legacy of passive income for now, but a cushion of protection that can take care of my autistic son if something happens to me. So what a blessing Ambit is, empowering people and changing lives.
That's awesome. That
one's a little long. I got to work on that.
That's good, though.
So, okay.
Well, you got to polish it, right?
Well, I got to polish it. So, okay, we have the two challenges were to text 50 people within 2 days and tell our Ambit story, a 2-minute story, 100 times before the end of March. No, I'm sorry, it's before the end of, when was our deadline? I should know.
April.
Yeah, before the end of April. Gotcha. Yeah, we're already in it. And actually, he said by June 1st, so that's what threw me off. By the end of May.
I bumped up the date to make it harder.
Well, there you go. Okay, then last thing real quick before we go was the issue of accountability. And he talked about how if you make something painful enough, you will find a way to get it done. What was the website he mentioned? You guys remember?
Yeah, stick.com. It's STICKK.com. Stick.com. Cool.
And what's the point of stick.com? What is that?
You pick the most absolutely worst thing you could possibly think about supporting, and then you go on there and give them your credit card information and a deadline and a certain amount that you're going to pay that organization or whatever. And then if you don't hit your goal, because they will verify, then they will pay that amount to the organization. So the joke was a guy raised his hand and was like, I don't want to pay ISIS. And they were like, all right, so here's your deadline to get to this, and this is how much money you'll be paying through this organization if you don't get to your goal. So it's like this incentive because it's so painful.
Yeah, ISIS was probably not the best idea. They were joking that he might have to make his payment from Guantanamo Bay. But someone said maybe Planned Parenthood or a political candidate that you just can't stand, or your ex-spouse or whatever. The point is make it painful and make it real and raw so that you cannot fail. You cannot fail, and you will find a way to get it done. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
So really good stuff. Fun weekend. Eric Worre, Network Marketing Pro. Any last comments, guys? And we'll hand it back to our beloved Sir Richard Laidler.
This is the second time that I've been to an Eric Worre event. I went to the one in Las Vegas, and it was so impactful that as soon as I found out he was coming to Dallas, I made it a point, and I said, I'm not flying. I'm going to go and do this event. So it's every time I can go to one of these live events, I'm in 100%. I am committed. So anybody's ever thought about doing one of these events, GoPro or anything like that that's not Ambit related, do it because it's good for us and to get outside of any sort of Ambit training and get some other type of eyes on this to help us.
You got it. Any last comments, Sarah?
No, I mean, I agree 110%. I listen to GoPro in my car audiobook at least probably 4 times a year or more. But going to the event, you just get so much wealth of information. You get to surround yourself by all these different network marketers that get it, and it's just really like the meat and the potatoes, right, of what we need to do in this business.
You got it. So the goal is to immerse ourselves in learning, and if you're not happy where you are, you got to invest in yourself, invest in your education, set a budget, improve yourself. It's not the company's responsibility to train you. If you want to grow, make the decision to grow professional, do your work with integrity. And that fits beautifully into Ambit, the finest and most respected retail provider in America. And we're grateful for the help of men like Sir Richard Laidler. So handing it back to you, Richard.
Guys, that was awesome. I know I'm speaking for everyone on the call, and we got quite a few people on the call today. There's people actually whose numbers I don't recognize, so I think there are people from other teams who've called in. That was a really, really good call, and I have to say, give me some feedback on Facebook or text me or whatever. I really like the format of more than one person, so it's conversational, because I think just listening to the same voice, sometimes I'm training, and I know, you're listening to my voice over and over again. To a certain point, it's hard to be listening past 20 minutes. But when there's three different people talking, your attention is on it all the time. And guys, thank you so much for sharing your experience that you had over the weekend. Again, like you, I cannot emphasize more how important personal development is, not only in your Ambit business, but in your personal life, your family life, your work life. If you're not personally developing yourself and personally growing, you're stagnant or going backwards even. So congratulations for all three of you for investing a mere $99 to go and see someone who is incredibly talented and incredibly knowledgeable and also forward-thinking in the network marketing arena. Guys, I just want to thank all three of you. Thank you so much for getting on the call and sharing your stories with everyone.
Thank you, Richard.
Yes.